各位媒体朋友，大家
Dear
好。
friends from media,
14届全国人大4
Good
次
morning.
会议首场代表通
the
道
first
现在开始
Deputies。Corridor of the
今天上午
fourth session of the
大会新闻
14th
中心邀请了6位
NPC now
来自
begins.
工
This
业、
morning we have
农业、
invited 6
科
deputies
技、
from the fields
教
of
育、
industry,
体育、
agriculture,
国防领域的
technology,
全国人大
education,
代表
sports, and
走
national
上代表通
defense
道，并紧
to
密结合自
come
身
to
的
the
履职，
corridor and to
回
meet
答
all
大
of
家
you,
的
and
提
they
问。
will answer your
现在
questions
请第一组代表，
according to their
谢谢。
experience. Shall we invite the first batch of deputies?
2位代表分别是
They are
中国一汽研发总院首席技能大师
research
杨永
and
修代表，
the senior technician
大家上午
from
好
the。Research and Development Center of First
北
Automotive
京
Works,
微芯区块链与边缘
杨
计算
永修
研究院院长董进代表。
Deputy Dong Jin, Director from Beijing Academy of Blockchain
谢谢。
and Edge
现在
Computing.
请大家开始提
Good
问，
morning. Now the floor is open to questions.
请中央广播电视总台记者提问。举手的
First
这位男
question,
士。
please.
谢谢主持人，我
Thank
是
you
中
very
央广
much.
播电
I'm
视总
with
台的记者，
China
我
Media
想提问
Group.
杨永修代
My
表。
question
杨
is
代表您
to
好，
Deputy
您从
Yang
一名
Yongxiu.
高职毕业生成长为
So
大国
from
工匠、
a
首席技能大师，
vocational
攻克了
school
上百项
graduate,
技术难关，
and
在
then
追
you have
求
become
极
a
致
senior
精度的道
technician,
路上不断
and
突破。
you
那大
have
家都很好
constantly
奇，
made
支撑您一路
breakthroughs
闯关的
in
密码究竟是
craftsmanship.
什么呢？
What is
谢
the
谢。
secret of your
谢谢您的
success?
提问。大家好，我是
Thank
吉
you
林代
very
表
much.
团杨永修，
I'm from the
在
Jilin
中国仪
delegation.
器
My name is
研发
Yang
实质有限
Yongxiu.
工作。
I work at the
我曾
front
经
line
也
of
是一
the
个技术小
First
白，
Automotive Works.
图纸
I
看得
used
慢
to be
设备呢也玩不转，
not so
但我就是
knowledgeable
有些
about
不服
the
气，
skills
爱琢磨。
and those
别人
equipment,
能
but
干
I
的，我凭
dare
啥
to
不行？
defy the odds. And when
手艺这
others
东
can
西
do
啊
that,
没有
why
捷
can't
径，
I? So there's
就是
no
要把手
shortcuts
练出技
in
性，
terms of
让零
skills, and you
件
have
在
to
你手里
be
听话。
familiar. You
那么
have to
干
get
高精尖的
familiar
活
with
困难呀
all the
就更大
equipments
了。
and tools.
一个汽车发动机刚
There's
起
a，lot of difficulties
精度要
when
求
it
是
comes
头发丝
to
粗细的1/5，
a vehicle,
差一丝一
because you need
毫
to have
整车的性能啊都
precision.
会受到影响。不断失
If
败，
you don't
我
have
们就
precision,
不断
you
的去
will
尝试，
end up
去挑
affecting
战
the。overall performance of the vehicle, and you need to go through rounds and rounds of adjustments,
有时候半夜躺在
and
床上
dozens rounds of
脑子
testing
里
and adjustments,
全
and
是工
sometimes
艺
when
和数
I'm
据。
lying on the bed,
因为我闯关的密
everything in
码
my
是什么？
mind is data
我觉得
and
呀，咱得
craftsmanship
真心的喜欢它，
so what is the
我对这些
secret of
铁疙瘩呀，
success? I
是有
think
感情的。
passion and
解决
interest.
一个技术难题，
I feel this very
那个
strongly,
成就
and
感
to
比吃啥都香。
if you have solved
当
a
你不只
technical
是为了完
problem,
成
the
任务，
sense of
而
achievement
是真心的
is
想把这个技术难题
overwhelming.
研究
And
透
if，you truly want to
你就有
get
用不完的劲儿。
down to the bottom of this
还得
issue,
永远
and
把自
then
己
you will
当
feel
作
very
学生。
passionate, and you will
因
also
为
have
技
to
术
regard
天天在变，
yourself always
老
as
方
a
法
student
肯定
because
解决不了
technology
新问题。
keeps evolving. With
所以
the
无论
old
什么时
approach,
候
you cannot solve
我
the
们
new
都要不
problem.
断的去学习，
So no
不
matter
断的去
when,
研究新技术、新方法。
we're talking about you have
说
to
到底，
research into new
工匠这
approaches
俩
and new
字不
methodologies.
是光环，
A craftsman
是
is
责
not
任。
a glorious
咱得时
title.
时想着，
It's
咱们
more
手里
of
干出来的
a
精密零件
responsibility.
是代表着中国汽车工
You
业的
have,
水
you
平。
have to remind yourself
这种
that
动力啊，
the
就
high
源源不断
precision
了。
tools
再
coming
就
out of
是
your
我为
hand
我所从事
represent
的
the
事业
level
而
of
骄傲。
craftsmanship of the
去
country.
年9月3号
And，
我非常荣幸的
On September
受
the
邀参
3rd
加在
last
天安门
year, I
广
was
场举行
very
的
honored
阅
to be
兵观礼。
invited to the military
要说
parade
当时的感受
held
啊，
at the
那
Tiananmen
就是2个
Square.
字，
So I
骄
can
傲。
share with you my feelings.
咱们国家装备队伍开
It's
过来，
nothing but pride.
轰隆隆的那
And
个气势
when
啊，
the
震得人心里都发
having
烫。
military trucks
当看到我们
arrived
仪
at
器
the
自己造
scene,
的红旗
I
检阅
felt
车，
overwhelmed.
稳稳
And
地
when I
开过来
saw
那一
the
刻，
Hongqi
说实话，我
vehicle
的眼泪啊，实在是控制不
coming in
住。
front of my eyes, I couldn't
那不只是一
hold
辆
my
车啊，
tears. And it's
那
not
是咱
just the
们中国
vehicle.
汽车工业的脸面，
It's
是几
the
代汽车人的
macrocosm
心
of
血。
China's automotive industry,
我作为
and
一名
it
仪
is
器
the
人，
result
红
of
旗研发人，
generations of
那份自
all
豪感
workers.
实在是
And
无
I
法用语言
cannot
来形容。
describe how proud I felt
习近
at
平
the
总书
moment.
记
And
视察
in
仪器的时候，
2022, when President
嘱咐我
Xi
们
paid a visit
一
to
定要把关键核心技术
FAW,
掌
he
握在自己手
instructed
里，
that we
把
have
民
to
族汽车品牌搞
hold
上去。
firm to our own
如今，
hand, our own
我们自己
technologies.
能把最精密的发动机、
And
最
right
智
now,
能的
we are
控制系
able
统
to
都牢牢的 攥在了自己手里，
develop our own
看到咱们的红旗
automotive
是与国家共进，与时代同
systems
行，
and technologies.
感到
And when I
特别的
see
光荣。
FAW
我
vehicles
们这些在车间里
marching
谋划
ahead
归档
with
的
our
人，
times, I
能够
feel
参与到这个
glorified and I
伟
feel
大的
proud
事业
and
里，
I
这辈
feel
子
more than
值
privileged
了。
to be part of these great
谢谢。
times. Thank
谢
you.
谢。请大家继续提问。
Next question, please.
请北京日报记者提问，举手的这位男士。
Beijing Daily, please.
北京日报长安街之士记者提问，请问董进代表，
My question to
您
Mr. Dong
长
Jin.
期从事区块链技术研究，
You long in
很多
the
人都很关
industry
心
of
现在我
blockchain
国区块链
computing,
技术的
and a lot of
自主
people
创新
quite
进展得怎
worried
么样了？
and
区
also
块链
would
技
like
术
to know
怎样
what's the
服务于
progress
国
made
家
in
战
this
略？
industry
谢谢。
and how blockchain and edge computing
谢谢
could
您的提
contribute
问。
to the country's
区块
development.
链技术
Thank you for your
呢是一
question.
类
Blockchain
前沿的信息
technology, yes, indeed, is
在
a
人
quite
工智能
advanced
的
cutting-edge
算法、
technology.
算力、数据
We
三
talk
要
about
素
that
中的
the
区块链是确保数据的
Blockchain
真
is
实
actually
可
to
信
make sure
可
that the
追溯
data is
可以说呢，
reliable
在
and
数字经济
authentic.
发展过程
We
中
talk about that
区块
could
链是
make
最
guarantee
关
that
键
the
的
traceability of
数字基础
data.
设施
We
之
talk
一。
about actually the
在
blockchain is the most
2019
important or one of the
之前
critical
我们
digital
国
fracture.
内的区块
In
链应用呢
2019,
开始
application of blockchain
涉及到
started to spread,
民生
covering
能源
and
贸易
government
相关的领域。
administration,
不过我们
energy,
也看到
trade, and other
绝
fields.
大部分
But
应
also
用
we could
是基
see
于
that a
国
lot of
外
the
的
application
底层
actually
技术。
was based
那
on
个时候呢，
the base
我们
technology
国
or the
家
underlying
还没
technology
有
from other
自己的
countries.
区块链
Because
底
back
层
then
核心科技。
we did not have
2019
a
年末
core
北
blockchain
京
underlying
主动
technology.
承担了国家的
Late in
战略任务，
2019,
快速汇聚
Beijing
在全
Academy
球
actually
区块
took
链
the
领域
initiative to
的顶
undertake
级
the
科学
country's
家
the
数百位。
strategic task,
我们
gathering
组建
top
了
talent
微星
in
研
the
究院
global blockchain
我
field,
们这家
hundreds
研
of
究
them.
院呢，就是用
We
集团
formed
军作战的方
the
式，
research
集中攻
institute.
坚解决
So
我
which
们国
means
家
that
区块链
inside we
领域
gathered
的
that
底
the
层
top
核心技术。
talents to help us to
经过了
tackle and
不懈的
solve
努力，
that's
我
the
和
core
团队
underlying
研发出
technology of the blockchain
全
field.
球首个
Through
软硬一
unremitting
体的
efforts,
区块链
my
底
team
层
and
操作系
I
统。
developed the world's
300
first
万行
integrated
源码
software and
的
hardware
全部
blockchain
开源开
underlying
放，
the
全
operating
社会
system,
免
and
费
also the
使
3
用，
million
极
lines
大
of
地
source
提升
codes
了
actually
技术
are
的
all
社会价
open
值。
source,
与
free
此
for the
同
whole
时呢，
society to use,
我
greatly
们研
enhancing
发的
the social value of
全球
technology.
首款
At the same time,
96
the
核
world
的区块链
first
专用加速芯片，这个芯片呢，
the
能让
96
区块
core
链的性
blockchain
能呢
specific acceleration
提
chip
升50倍。
actually
更
can
重要
increase
的
the
是呢，
performance of the blockchain by
这项
50
技
times.
术成功突破了超大规模区块链网
So
络
these
所面临
the
的
technology
算
help
力
us
瓶颈。
that successfully
让我们国家
broken through
可
the
信的
key
数字基础
technical
设施呢，
problems
拥有
faced
了
by
中国
large-scale
芯。
blockchain
目前
networks. So this is
自主
actually
的
that
区
the
块链
China
系
chip
统
that
已
really
经
help
应
us
用
to
到
make this
16
happen.
个
So
中
right
央
now
部委
we have used that
27
to that
个中央企业。
16 the
在税务
government
领域，
departments and
我们国
27
家
the
每
central
年
enterprises.
数百亿张发
Every
票
year,
全部跑
and
在
more
自
than
主的区块链
the
网络
tens of
中的，
billions
用
of
区块链
invoices
来
actually
确保
our
我
country
们国
every
家
year are
每一
all
张
running
发
on
票
the
是
self-developed
真实
blockchain
可
network.
信可
Make sure
追
that every invoice actually
在
is
跨境贸易
reliable,
领域，
genuine, and
自主
traceable.
的区块链实时
In trade
链通
industry,
不同行业、不同区域
especially the
的
cross-border
关键核
trade,
心
the
数据，
self-developed
让我
blockchain
们的
enabled
跨境
real-time
通关
connection
效
of
率呢
key
指
core
数级提
data,
升。
and
目
that
前
also
上链的
enhancing
企业
cross-border
已经
custom
超
clearance
过了
and
30
improved
万
their
家。
work
在自
efficiency.
主区块链网
Right
络
now,
中
we
承
could see
载
that
的
more
跨
than
境贸易金
that's
额
the
呢，是
300,000
万亿
enterprises
元的
actually
水
was
平。
on the
在
blockchain
全球支付领域，自主
hosting
的区块链技
the
术
cross-border
和央
trade
行
volume
的
of 1 trillion
数
yuan
字人民币
in the
结合
global payment field.
实现了
The
资金
self-developed
流、
blockchain technology
业务
also
流、
combined
信
with
息
the
流的
central
三流合
bank
一，
PBOCs,
也
the
形
digital
成了我们
currency,
国家的
realizing the
跨境
integration of
支
capital
付
flow,
新的
business
通
flow,
道。
and information flow. This also
目
helped to
前
create
呢，
a new channel for
随着
cross-border
应用的
payment
拓展，
in China.
国家级
Currently,
的
with
区
the
块链
expansion
网
of
络呢
application,
已经形成，
China's blockchain network has been
就是要把我
built.
们国家
So
跨
its
境贸易
purpose is to bring that the cross-border trade, global payments, and also other high-value core data within our own system. In February this year, President Xi Jinping also inspected technology innovation work in Beijing, and I'm very proud to report to the President Xi about the progress of blockchain independent innovation. Looking forward, we will keep in mind the General Secretary Xi's entrustment, hold firm to our ideals, and never let go, closely focus on the major strategic needs of our country, make sure that the core underlying technology in the blockchain field of our country remain at the forefront in this industry, and also to build a solid and reliable digital network and the Great Wall. Thank you.
现在请第二组代表。
Now let's bring on the second batch of deputies.
两位代表分别是
They are
江苏李夏河地区农科所研究员高德荣代
researcher
表，
from the Institute of Agricultural Sciences of Lixiahe
云
region
南
of
省
Jiangsu
文
province,
山州连城
高德
镇
荣.
洛松地小学
And
教
then we
师
also have
农家贵代表。
Nong Jiagui, a teacher from Luosongdi Primary
谢谢。
School in
现在请
Guangnan
大家开
County
始
of
提问。
Yunnan Province. Now the floor is open to questions.
请第一排举手的人民日报社记者提问。这位
First
女士
question, please.
谢谢主持人。
Thank
人民
you
日
very
报
much.
记者提
And
问
with，
我的问题
The
想要提
People's
给高德
Daily,
荣
my
代表
question。is to
今天是
Deputy
24节气里的
Gao
惊蛰
And，
正是农
today
作物生长的一个关键时
we
期
are having。
我们知
a
道您一
very
直是研究
important,
种子的，所以我
day,
想请
which
问
is
您
the
对于保障
awakening
粮
of
食安
insects
全
and
有什么
you
样的
pay
思考
particular
和
attention
履职体
to
会？谢
food
谢。
security and food safety. And
谢谢。
what considerations do
大家
you
好。
have in
我是高德
ensuring
荣。
food supply in China?
来自江苏李夏河地区。
Good morning. My name is
农业科学研究所
Gao Derong.
30多年
I'm
来
a researcher at the
小麦
Institute of
种大
Agricultural Sciences from Lixiahe region
有
of
人说
Jiangsu province. I have been dealing with
的确
wheat for
我和
the
千
past
千万万
30
农民
years.
兄弟一样，
Like
是追着
all
实力
the
走的。
peasants and
眼
farmers,
下
and we
正值小
follow
麦反迁拔地期，
the
苗情复杂，
agricultural
这几天
calendar
变化不断。
of the year. And
播种时生一寸，
when
分
you
粒就可能少几根。这里面的学
sow
问
the
得
seeds
向土地
to
请
a
教。
sufficient number, you will ensure
忙来忙去，
sufficient
其
yield.
实我只
And
做一件事，为我们国家培育
over
高
the
产抗
years,
病小
I
麦
have
品种。
only actually done one thing, which is to
大家
cultivate
可能听说
high
过
yield
小麦的癌
wheat.
症、
And
痴迷
you
病，
may have
一旦爆
heard
发，可能
the
颗粒无收。
wheat cancer, and when that
江苏
breaks
地
out,
处长
you
江
will
下游，
have zero
有许
yield.
多
And
湿
the
度大，
Jiangsu locates at
是
the
痴迷
lower
病的
stream of the
常
Yangtze
发
River. We
送法
have
区。
sufficient precipitation, and we are a major
亲眼目睹
base of
一位老农
wheat and
在那因痴迷
paddy
病而
field.
绝收的麦
And
子
I
里流泪。
saw a couple of years
那
ago
一
that
幕
because of
像
a
一根
cancer
刺
breakout
深深
among
地
the
扎在我
wheat,
的
and
心
we had
农民的
minimal
眼里
yield of
就
the
是我们
wheat,
科技
and I
工作者
saw
攻坚
the
克难的
farmers
动力。
shedding out tears, and
怎
the
么
tears
突破？
that they shed are
从
what
转变思
drives
路开始，
researchers.
我们跳出传统
forward
育种模式，
So we
通过
have
分子育种技术，尝试在种子粒
brought
植
about
入
innovation
抗
to the
病期
traditional breeding technology,
30
and after
无
30
数
years,
组合反复实
we
验，
have
终于
tried
在
multiple
2021
configurations
育成
and combinations, and
第一
in
个抗痴迷
in
病品种，
2020,
它不仅抗性强，
we
而且
managed
产量高，
to
千亩4万方，
produce
国产
the
数
first
达
anti-falling
600公斤。
wheat breed, and the per
这意
mu
味
of
着
yield
农民
reaches
可以少打药，多
600
打粮，收
kilos,
成
and that
更稳
means
当。
with less
品种改良
seed
一直
inputs
在路
and
上。
fertilizer input,
我
you
们
can
追求的
have
不仅是吃得饱，
sufficient yield,
更
and
要吃得
we do
好，
not just want to
还
feed
要让种粮
ourselves.
人有
We
份
have to feed ourselves well.
南
We
方
have to bring
稻麦冷作，
security
大幅
to the
紧张。
farmers.
小麦播种期常
And
被迫推
in
迟。
the southern part of
怎么
China,
办？
because of climate,
我们
the
提出
sowing season
两吨
for
快
the
速发育
wheat
的
is
策略，
oftentimes
让小麦学会
postponed.
抢时间，
So we have
育
to
成了
race
像
with
杨麦25
the
一样
calendar.
耐迟播的品种，
And
疾病
after
12月份播种，
genetically
国
modifying
产也能达
the
到600公斤。
seeds of the wheat, we
我
can
们还针对
reduce, we
饼
can
干高
resolve
地
this
区
issue, and we can also ensure a yield of 600
有种呢
kilos per
长期依赖进
mu
口
of land, and we also
这
changed
些
the
粮食品
history
种
of
像一
over
支
reliance
精锐
on
的护卫队，
imports. We are
为我们
just
端岛
like
范围
a
守护粮仓安
army
全贡献的力
ensuring
量。
the security of China's food.
作为一名人大代表，
As
我的
a
女的答卷
NPC
也写在田野上。
deputy,
高
I
标准农田建设能不能
write
更
my
快一些？
answers on the
惠农补
vast
贴
fields
能否
of
更精准？
China, and we want
这些
to
都是我在田埂上
put on the
设计到的
ground
声音。
precision,
我也像记录适
poverty
应数据一样，
elevation,
认真
and
指向，
I
转化为
take
一
note
份
of
份代表
a
记
lot
录。
of data and
我提出
translate
的
the data
关于
into
提
my
高高标准农田
tangible
建设投入的金
actions. I
可以
have
采纳。
submitted a
名目投
proposal
入
which has to
从
do with
1750元
rolling
提高
out
至
high
3000元。
standard experimental
接下来，
lands,
我
and
将继
I
续
also
深耕麦
propose
田，
to
让土地多
increase
采
the
粮，
subsidy
让农
to
民多收入。
farmers, and
我们
going
一起
forward,
把
I
饭
will
碗端得
work
更
very
稳、
hard
更牢。
to increase
谢谢。
the income of the farmers and ensure
谢谢。
greater food
请大
security.
家继续提问。
Thank you. Next question, please.
请第一排举手的新华社记者提问，这位男士。
谢谢。新华社记者提
Xinhua
问
News
那我的
Agency.
问题
My
想提问给
question
农家贵代
to
表。
Mr. Nong
您在
Jiagui.
洛松地小学担任了
You come
40年
from
的乡村教
Luosong
师。
Di
那
and
我
you've
们
been
很
there for
我们
40
很好
years
奇
as the
洛松
teacher
地这
in
个名
primary
字
school in Luosong
是
Di.
怎么来
So
的？
would you please
它
first tell us what's the name of Luosong Di?
我
What's
们
the
很好奇
meaning of that?
洛松地小学这个名字很特别，它是怎么
Because
来
it's
的？
very
能给我们
special.
讲讲
So
您
we
所
would like
经
to
历的
know a
洛
little
松
bit
地故
more
事吗？
about the story behind that naming. And can you share with us more stories and your experience? Thank you very much. My name is Luosong Di. Actually, the location of our school actually is a small village without a name. And it also used to be a place for that the treatment of that leprosy patients. And also usually people call that a village or that's the leprosy village. So in 1986, when I was just 20 years old, I found a job there. I saw the disabled elderly people. Actually, I wanted to run away, but you know, I saw the children's eyes. The eyes was eager, stay eager for knowledge. I couldn't take a step to run away, so I stayed. Think about that, the difficulties. You know that there's no that the textbook and the classroom actually borrow from the hospitals. And the room just was around 20 square meters. And the textbook actually were second books I found here and there. And there's no that test papers. And actually, the students finished that the third grade, they actually need to go other places to continue the fourth grade. They actually cried to me and said, "Teacher, we would like to stay. We don't want to stay in the village without the name for a lifetime." So I think about that, how we could help them. I actually recruit a new class. There's no that infrastructure. We talk about there's no building. So actually they built the building, the room by their hands with their fists. And we talk about the elderly people. Actually, they didn't have any tools back home. They just used their cooking tools. How about to mix the concrete, the mortar, so that they work day and night like this, and the children witness all these, and they study even harder. In 1992, my first batch of students graduated from primary school, and when they're filling out their enrollment materials and the column of home address, I actually didn't dare to write down the name of the village. And actually, I wrote down Luosong Di. So why I call it Luosong Di? Because back then, this village actually grew a lot of peanuts. And actually, you know, it's a very famous article in our textbook. It's called Falling Peanuts. We talk about that the cover or the appearance of peanuts is simple and unadorned, and the fruit is deeply buried in the ground. Actually, although this is a village with a lot of disability people, but still they have a beautiful heart. So they are very supportive of education. And I also talk to other teachers and ask them, that they actually came to me. They know that do those students from Luosongdi, they actually have performed really good in exam. The high score 206 points, the lowest 135 points. Oh, exciting score, the average line. Actually, I brought that good news back to the village, and the whole village actually was so happy. I back then was only one teacher there. I sent away a total of 1,000 primary school graduates, 12 classes, 126 children. They successfully entered the workforce. I spent there 40 years. People ask me, how many 40 years does one person have in the whole lifetime? Is it worse to doing that? I said it was worse. Because my students said if Mr. was not really there or is hesitated a little bit at the beginning, then we would never be able to leave the mountains. Talk about that knowledge actually change our fate. You can see right now with the support of the local government and also the sectors of society, previously that the closed village has now totally transformed and become a modern village of ethnic unity and progress. As a teacher from grassroots, I will continue to stay in my post to make my dedicated contribution, and also I will continue my endeavor and stay true to my original aspiration, the founding mission. I believe this is how I pay back to the people, to the society. On September 3rd last year, as a representative outstanding party member across the country, I got the honor to participate the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against the Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War. As a commemorating event, I also joined others singing Ode to the Motherland. Actually, back to the village, I also share my thoughts with the children. I told the story of the great spirit of the war resistance. I told them that study hard, strive to make the country stronger. And for myself, I will continue to practice that wholeheartedly serving the people. Because like for myself, when I decided to join the party, I made my application saying I'm an entrepreneur and I'm willing to fall behind others. I will continue my job. Thank you.
谢谢。现在请第三组代表。
Now let's bring on stage the third batch of deputies.
两位代表分别是江西省水上运动管理中心运动员
Jiangxi Provincial
徐
Water
世晓代
Sports
表，
Management Center, an athlete. Her name is
空
Xu
军
Shixia.
航空兵某旅飞行员
We also have
王文义代表。
a pilot from Air Force Aviation Brigade of the Chinese
谢谢。
People's Liberation
现在请大家
Army.
开始提问。
Wang Wenyi. Now the floor is
请
open.
中国日报社记者提问，举手的这位女士。
First question, please.
中国日报记者提问，
With
我的问
China
题提给
Daily,
徐
my
诗晓代
question
表。
is
代表
to
您
Xu
好，
Shixia.
您在女子双
Good
人滑艇
morning.
500米项目上
At
蝉联了
the,
东京、巴黎2届奥运会的冠军。在
You
您乘风
were
破浪
the
的过程
champion
当
in
中，一定
Tokyo
有
and
很多
Paris
难以忘怀
in
的瞬
the
间，可不可以给我们分
women's
享一下？
double
谢谢。
canoe, and what are your success
好的，感谢这位
secret?
媒体朋友的提问。大家好，我是
Thank you
来
very
自
much
江西
for
团
your
的代表
question.
徐世
I'm
晓，
from
也是一名
the
中国
Jiangxi
皮划
delegation.
艇
My
运动
name
员
is
非常高兴呢，今天在这里和大家一起
and
分享我职业
I'm
生涯中
an
一些
athlete of
难忘的回忆。
canoe.
也许啊，很多人
It's
知
a
道
great
我拿
pleasure
过
to
2届奥运会
share
的冠
with you
军，
my
但是
experience
呢，却很少有人
as
知
a
道
canoe
我经历过
athlete.
退
And
役
you know
再
that
复
I
出
have。won 2 Olympic
我出
medals.
生在江
But
西农村，
few of you
很
know
小的时
that
候
I
呢，
was
经常
born
帮
in
家里
a
干农活，
village in
也练出了很大的力气。
Jiangxi
经常和
province.
班里的男
I
同学呀扳手腕，
helped
也
with
赢过
the
不少
farm work
男
from a
生。
young age, and
13
I
岁的时候，
also
体校教练去学校招生，我意外成为一名皮划艇运动
I
员。
also
14岁进入
do
专业队
wrist wrestling
，15
with
岁
the
拿
boys in
到
our
第一
class,
个
and
全国冠
when I
军。
was
本
15
以
years
为我
old,
的
I
体
got
育
my
生涯
first
会继续
champion
这样频繁地走下去。
across
但
the
是呢，
country,
因为
and
女
I
子
thought
滑
that
艇项目未
then I
被正式
could
列入奥运项目。
have a smooth
2013年
a journey
带着遗
and
憾
career.
选择了退役。 到
But I
2017
chose
年
a
退
women's
役的
canoe.
第
But
4
in
个年头，
2013, I
有一
gave
天
up.
我的
And
教练打电话
then
找到
4 years
我，
later, my
问我是
coach
否愿意复出，
telephoned me
因为
and
女子滑
asked
冰
me
项目已经正
whether
式
do
加
I
入
like
奥运
to
大家庭，
rejoin
并
the
且
game
将在
of
东京奥运
women's
会首次
canoe.
亮相。
And he told me that
此时的我
it
呢，
has
已经
rejoined the
25
Olympic
岁，
family
并
and
且
it will
就职
be
于一家企业。
accommodated at the
4 年
Tokyo
的训练空窗期，
Olympics. At the time, I
说
was
实话，
working
想
for
要
the
重新
private
开始
sector, and I
谈何
had
容易？
waved goodbye
但
to
是
this
呢，参加一次奥
sport
运
for
会的
4
梦想，就
years,
像
and
一
it's
颗
very
火
hard
苗
to
一样，
pick it
在我
back
心
up.
中熊熊燃
But
起。
the
我毅
dream
然
of
决然地选择了复
participating in
出。
the Olympic Games
复苏后
was
迎
just
来的
like
第
a
一个挑
fire.
战，
It's
便是
igniting
第
me,
13
and the
届的
first
天津全
challenge
运会。
I felt
想要
was
向东京奥运
I
会发起
encountered
冲
was
击，那
the
么这一仗
13th
就必须打赢。
national sports
也许是
competition
革
in
命老区
Tianjin,
孩子
and
身
I
上
have
的
to
这
win
种
this
倔劲
game.
和拼劲。
Maybe
此时
it
呢，
has
距离
to
比
do with
赛
where
只
I
有10
came
个多月
from,
不到的
the
时
old
间。
revolutionary
我拼命与时间
base,
赛跑
and at the time I
每
was
天
only
清晨、
14 months
上午、
away,
下午、晚
and
上
I
训练4次
engaged。in
一天
very
下来，浑身
intense
像撒了架
trainings,
一样，
and I do 14 hours
膝盖
of
长
training
时
every
间跪在
day,
田
and
里，
after
走
the
得像个
day's
馒头，
training,
需
I
要每天
felt
晚上
like
到医务室
overstretched,
去
and
抽取积
at
液。
the end of every day, I have
我
to
记得有几次高强度
have
训
my
练之后
knees，
累得两眼发
treated,
黑，
and I remember
但是呢，我也没有放弃。
feeling
我毅然
drowsy
决然
and
地
dizzy
继续
after a
坚持的，
day's hard training,
就
but
这
I
样的
never
一步
gave
步
up,
的
and I
在
continued with my
2017年的9月
hard
7日
training,
第
and
13届天津全运会的决
then
赛
in
场上，我收获
2010 at
了
the
2枚
final
全运
round
会的
of
金牌。
the national
并且
sports competition,
成功入
I
选国
got
家
2
队。
gold medals, and I was
当我身
successfully
着国家队
elevated
队服的时
to
候，
the
我的梦
national
想就
team.
不
And
仅
when I
仅
put on
说
the
是要
uniform
参加
of
奥运
the
会，我想
Team
要站
China,
上最高领
my
奖台，
dream
让
at
五
the
星
time
红
was
旗
to
迎
not
风飘
just
扬。
attend the
就这样，
Olympic
我一步
Games.
步的我
I
也
had
做
the
到
dream
了，
of
也从一名懵懂的少年
achieving
成长为一名国
a
际
gold
级的
medal
运
at
动
the
健将
Olympic。Games so that my national flag can be
从2019年
hoisted
世锦
behind
赛
me.
开始，
And
我和我的搭档佩
from
蒂
the
女子
World
双人
Championships
500米
in
滑梯项目以
2019,
来，只
I
要我们
worked
参
together
赛，
with
我
my
们就是
partner
第一。
in women's double
我想
canoe, and
这是
whenever
我们的速
we
度，更是中
are
国
in
的
the
速度
game,。we are
这些
number
年，
one,
国家
and
快速发
our
展给
speed
了我
is
们施展
sometimes
才华的舞台。
dubbed as
巴黎奥运会
China
上，我
speed,
国运动
and
员创
at
下
the
境外
Paris
参赛
Olympic
最
Games,
好成
and
绩。
we
这是祖国的强大给予
made
我
a
们的底
record
气。
in terms of the
作
gold
为一
medals
名
that
运
we
动
have
员、
won
全国人大
overseas,
代表，
and this is making me
结合
more
自己
than
的多年
proud.
的训练
And
经
as
验
an
进行
athlete,
语
as
子，提出
the
盘活城
athlete
市
that
协
has
作空
gone through
间，
many years of training,
带动全民健身
I
的
have
热潮。
also
我希望
proposed
呢，
some
越来越
suggestions
多
to
的
the
人和我一
NPC. I
起
want
加入到运动当中
sports
来
to be
和我一起
spread
走
across
起
the
来、
country. I
动起
hope
来
more，people
在运
can
动中
join
收获健
sports
康、
just like
快
me
乐。
so that
谢
you
谢大
can
家。
harvest health and
谢谢。
happiness from sports. Thank you.
请大家继续提问。
Next question, please.
这个问题请解放军报社记者提问。
I would like
解放军报记
to
者
ask
提问
the，
王
PLA
卫代表
Daily.
您好。
So
我们到
from
部队采
PLA
访报
Daily,
道，强烈
my
感受
question
到
to
新时代人民军
Mr.
队
Wang
整训
Wenyi.
锻造、奋
So
斗强
we
军的新风正
conducted
气。
our interview
作为
with
来
the
自一
troops.
线
I
的空
could
军飞
really
行员，
strongly
请问
feel
您有
that
哪
the
些切
new
身感受
trend
呢？
of strict training and striving for a strong military in the new era.
谢谢你的提问。
What's your
也
feeling?
感谢媒体
Thank
朋
you
友
for
们
your
对
question.
基层官兵代
First
表
of
的
all,
关
I'd
心
like to
和
take this
关注。
opportunity to express our
我
heartfelt
是一名
thanks
来自一
for
线部
your
队的
care
战斗机飞行员，
to the
飞行是我的日
grassroots
常，
officers and
也是
soldiers.
使命所在。
So let's see a pilot from Air Force Aviation Brigades. It's my mission, the daily routine to train training. And our brigade is a unit with a glorious tradition. And the military corridor of the brigade is built right next to that's a corridor, because that corridor actually to convey the history and also talk about the glories, the whole experience, one picture, photo after another, really that told the combat track of the trip across the country. As long as the mission call, the officers and soldiers respond to the call and go to the battlefield. And we have left our footprints in 14 places in 7 provinces. And the story of our predecessors not only let us understand that for whom we fly and where we fly, fly, but also make us feel that the development of the army. Every day we think just one thing is training for the real battle, preparing for the real battle. As a J-16 pilot, my feeling is that the tighter the combat readiness training of the grassroots units, the stronger the combat capability. I remember that one thing is when the fighter took off, the farmlands and the villages below became smaller, and the air actually quite complex. So actually I need to have really close collaboration with my teammates. And when we finished the first round of confrontation training, we immediately refueled in the air. So from different, that's the training mode, from the intense air combat mode to the dedicated operation. And then we return to the air combat mode. So every day, these kind of two modes actually switch one to another. It was really, really exhausted physically. But we actually pushing our boundary, pushing our limits. When we finished the mission, in the evening, when all the fighter jets returned, looking at thousands of houses with lights in the distance, I feel the happiness. And because that reunion of every family actually is all guarded by us. We talk about this is a really heavy task, but actually I feel very proud of myself with the mission, because we see that reunion, the peace of the country and the happiness of the people. We talk about that we need to train the air wind drain sword to build the Great Wall of the blue sky. We need to safeguard the airspace. And the fourth plenary session of 20th Central Committee of the CPC had painted a blueprint for building a strong military. And next year, we also will mark the 100th anniversary of founding of the PLA. We have the goal even clearer, and also we know that responsibility is more significant. We will seize every second and every minute, strive to overcome difficulties, stand ready for battle, and fulfill our mission, contribute our strengths to the realization of the blueprint. Thank you. Friends from the media, after the morning session of the NPC, we will have the first Minister Corridor. We will invite Minister from the Ministry of Technology, and the Information Industry and Information Science and Technology, and the State-Owned Asset Supervision Administration Commission. Please stay tuned. Thank you very much. This is the end.